Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm here to talk about a little problem that we've been having around the house, and that's with woodpeckers. We had one that's decided that the best place to try to look for insects is going to be right on our siding, right next to our headboard at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that's an issue. Now, some may say just go out and kill it, but you can't because they are federally protected. In 1918, the federal government put forth the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, and that stops you from being able to kill thousands of migratory bird species. Specifically, one of them is the woodpecker. Now, we have a couple different species of woodpecker around the area, variety of sizes. We have this little guy that is checking out the suet right now, but we do have some larger species as well. Now, one of the things we want to do is try to get him away from the house the best we can. Now, there's a couple different means in which we can do this. They've got streamer tape. It's almost like aluminum foil. It's very shiny. You can hang up. They've got hard streamers that you can hang up. They're spiral. They spin, bouncing light off. You've got predatory bird statues like owls and falcons and hawks. But we're going to hang some of those up. We're going to get some of that stuff up. But we don't just want to deter them away from the house. We also want to provide them with something to keep them away. So we want to move some of our suet packs a little further away from the house. And then I'm actually going to build a new bird feeder. I'm going to use a log, drill some holes in it, and pack it almost like a suet log. Now, one of the things you do with this, you're going to start pushing all of this. So we're going to start right on the outskirts and try to push it to the complete outskirts of our property. We want to try to push it as far away from the house as possible, but it's going to take some time because they got to find the log or find the suet's holders, and then we're going to want to push them away. And if you can actually see behind me, the birds are coming out to the feeder right now. So that's what we're trying to focus on today. So we got a little bit of work ahead of us. We're going to build one of those feeders and get everything out. So let's get started. Now, if the woodpeckers are actually attacking the house, that means that there's some underlying problem. Whether there's insects or rotted wood, they're either looking for food or they're looking to make a new home. So they're either going to peck away to find the food, or they're going to peck a large enough hole for them to actually make a home in. And you can see we have a lot of these holes around the house. We want to stop this before it becomes a problem. And now for the wooden bird feeder, we're actually going to be using apple wood for this. We had cut down an apple tree in 2020. We need a 3-inch thick section, about a foot to a foot and a half. And then we're going to cut it down and trim the top of it and sink an eye bolt into it. So we're going to pre-drill that and sink the eye bolt all the way in. Now we're going to be using a 1-inch drill bit to drill the holes in the log. Now, because this is an apple wood, it's a little bit harder of a wood, so I'm using an impact driver to really drill this in. And it's taking a little bit of extra muscle to make sure that it gets all the way through. Now, they do sell suet in log form that you could use to stuff directly in here that is meant to fit this, but those are a little bit more expensive than just buying these packs of suet, where I spend about $8 for 10. So I'm going to use this, cut it up, and just start stuffing it into each one of the holes. For placement of this log, I've noticed that whenever I've scared the woodpeckers away from the house, they've flown to one set of trees. So I'm going to go ahead and hang this log over on those trees. Hopefully they'll keep them on those trees and away from the house. The birds have gotten used to the suet feeders that we do have, so we are going to move one of them a little bit further away, and we're going to start doing this periodically to try to get the birds away from the house. Well, we're not going to move this bird feeder. It appears to have grown into the tree. Michelle came out and really liked the look of this bird feeder and thought it would look even cooler if it was made out of birch. Well, I concur. One, it does stand out a lot more and is a lot easier to drill into. So a softer wood might be more beneficial to make it out of than this crabapple wood. So I'm drilling the holes and it is flying through. We're going to cut up the suet and stuff it into each one of the holes the same way we did the other feeder. And each feeder fits about 1 package of suet. Now, with keeping with moving all of the bird feeders away from the house, I think we're going to put this one towards the back of the property line. Now, for our first step of deterrence, we are going to be using a predatory owl. First thing we're going to do is fill it with sand. I made a little platform out of scrap 2x4s that the owl is going to sit on. Now we're going to fix it to this tree facing the area where we're having the most problem with the woodpeckers. It is facing the house right next to our bedroom. Get it! You're just too little. Now we're going to work on patching some of the siding. Now the main hole's about 1 inch wide, and I do have some scrap pieces of wood that I'm going to shape to fit inside the hole. Now, an adhesive for the plug, we're going to be using Bondo. It's great for indoor and outdoor, it's sandable and it's paintable. We used this previously when I made the humidor for my friend Chance. I'll leave the link for that video above and in the description. But it works fast, so once we add our hardener to it, we got to start mixing and get ready to use. Once it's fully mixed, we're going to add a little bit of that Bondo to the plug and we're going to put it in the hole. Once it's in there, we're going to start filling in around it and make sure it's completely covered and leveled out. And then I'll be using the leftover Bondo to fill in any of the smaller holes. Once this is all done, we'll sand it down later on in spring and paint it to match the rest of the siding. Alright, now we're going to move on to more deterrents. So we have these reflective wind twisters from Homestead we're going to put up around the house. We did have some of these up once before, but they blew down. So to remedy that, we've got hooks. Now the hooks are open on one end, so what we want to do is close that off. And to do that, I'm going to be using a vise on these hooks I picked up, put it in the vise and just close the hole. And that way they should be more secure once I screw them into the soffits, and they shouldn't go anywhere. Now, because we're having a lot of activity here along this wall with the woodpecker, and it's mostly in this area, penguin is about what would be eye level for them. Hopefully this will be one of those things that scares them away. So what's happening? So the interrupter doesn't get us? Okay, please let you go. You're going? Okay. We do have a couple holes here. We did have a woodpecker over here at one point. They do like hanging out in the birch tree right over here. But I'm not entirely certain if this is necessary yet in this location. So I'm not going to secure it down. I'm just filled it with sand and I'm just going to leave it right here. You hear the goose?
Yeah.
All right, guys, so that is it. We got everything done. We got the owls up, the streamers up, new bird feeders. All the bird feeders are done, and all of the holes are plugged up. I'm hoping our problem with the woodpeckers are gonna be done, or at least deterred for now. I can tell with certainty that the owl made a huge difference. I have it pointed directly at the holes that were right next to our bedroom that the woodpeckers were going after, and we didn't hear them at all this morning. So that is a huge win. So hopefully this one plus the other one on the other side of the house and the streamers will deter the birds, deter the woodpeckers away from the house. And then we are rewarding them by staying out with the new bird feeders. So I hope this all works. I hope it all helps out. I hope it helps you understand. I know one of the things that we need to do in the spring is we're gonna have to sand all of our patchwork done and then paint it all up. I might have to apply some more Bondo just to make sure everything's nice and smooth and everything's got a nice smooth finish. And then in the spring, we're gonna hit all those other areas I showed you, like the chimney and above the doorway and just some of the small spots that we weren't able to get to today. But that's going to be it for today, guys. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. If you have any other suggestions to help to get these little pesky buggers away from our house, I'm more than willing to accept them and listen to what you have to say. But that's going to be it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.